Welcome back to The Explainer. So, have you ever heard the idea that we all have a little spark of the divine inside of us? It's a gorgeous concept, famously known in Eastern philosophy as Buddha nature. But as we dive into our source material today, we're going to uncover a massive historical misconception. We're going to see how this one seemingly simple idea was accidentally misinterpreted, secretly derailing spiritual practice for literally centuries. Today, we're pulling our insights straight from a 1992 Dharma talk, specifically Chapter 6 of The Challenge of Enlightenment, Volume 2. It boldly takes on some core Buddhist doctrines to deliver what is honestly a long overdue historical correction, comparing the original words of the Buddha to how religious institutions later completely twisted them. And that leads us right to this really provocative question. If human beings fundamentally possess Buddha nature, does that mean we're inherently enlightened right out of the gate? Like, if you have the potential, do you automatically hold the prize? It's a massive philosophical trap, and honestly, it is incredibly easy to fall into. Here is our roadmap for the explainer today. 1. The seed of Buddha nature. 2. The unenlightenable exception. 3. The great historical debate. 4. The toxic current. 5. Equality versus fairness. And finally, 6. The principle of courage. Let's get right into it. All right, Section 1, the seed of Buddha nature. So, I was genuinely fascinated to learn that the original Sanskrit term here, Tathagagarbha, literally translates to an embryo, or an egg. The source text uses this beautiful comparison of a fetus in a mother's womb. I mean, think about it. Just because a fetus has the potential to become a fully grown adult absolutely doesn't mean it is one yet, right? It's raw potential. It absolutely has to be fed, nurtured, and grown through intense spiritual practice. It's the starting line, guys, not the finish line. Which brings us to Section 2, the unenlightenable exception. This presents a wild dilemma. If everyone has this precious seed, are we all just guaranteed to hit pure enlightenment eventually? Just a matter of waiting it out? Well, the ancient texts actually point to a really challenging concept called the Chantika. These were essentially the exception to the rule. People who so stubbornly rejected, criticized, or just flat out ignored spiritual teachings that they basically severed their own roots of goodness. It's proof that just having the seed inside you isn't enough, not if you're actively refusing to give it the water and sunlight it needs. The text illustrates this brilliantly with the metaphor of a cocoon and a silkworm. Basically, everyone has the silkworm. That's your Buddha nature right inside them. But sometimes a person's worldly desires, their ego, or their bad choices, they build this incredibly thick, hard cocoon around it. It literally turns to stone. And the silkworm aside, it just can't break free. The potential is completely trapped. Moving into Section 3, the great historical debate. So how did we get so far off track? If we have to put in all this hard work to break out of the cocoon, why do so many people think enlightenment takes zero effort? Well, it all boils down to this massive intellectual showdown in Japan. On one side, you've got the famous scholar Saicho pushing original enlightenment. He's basically saying, hey, we have Buddha nature, so we're already perfect exactly as we are, right from day one. But on the other side, you have this brilliant scholar, Tokuichi, fighting back with acquired enlightenment. He correctly argued that, sure, we have the potential, but actually acquiring true enlightenment, that demands real, sustained, rigorous practice. If we map this out, Shakyamuni, the original Buddha, was crystal clear about teaching a path of rigorous practice. But during that big debate, Saicho's whole effortless salvation pitch was, well, you can imagine, it was way more appealing to the masses. Tragically, Saicho basically won the popularity contest, and over the centuries, that totally shifted Japanese Buddhism away from its original intent. It cemented this idea that everyone is already a Buddha, making spiritual discipline seem completely unnecessary. That leads us right into Section 4, the toxic current. And this historical error didn't just fade away, it compounded. Our source material uses this incredibly striking phrase, the toxic water flowing through Japanese Buddhism, to describe this lazy, feel-good doctrine. Let's be real, when a religion tells you that everyone becomes a Buddha instantly, basically turning us into spiritual couch potatoes without lifting a finger, it loses its entire purpose. It just becomes about worldly benefits, where people expect salvation without putting in an ounce of personal effort. The text actually makes a fascinating comparison here. Treating everyone exactly the same at the finish line, no matter how hard they run the race, is essentially spiritual communism. Just like how absolute equality of results in an economy totally kills the drive to work hard, this toxic current completely paralyzes spiritual growth. Think about it. If you're guaranteed to be a Buddha no matter what you do, why on earth would you ever try to improve your character? Here's how we fix it. Section 5, Equality versus Fairness. To correct this toxic current, the source argues we have to understand the massive difference between equality and fairness. They are definitely not the same thing, especially when it comes to spirituality. Here's how we resolve the paradox. We are all strictly equal in our underlying potential. That is the true meaning of Buddha nature. Everyone gets a seed. But the universe is entirely fair in treating us based on the actual results of our efforts. The law of cause and effect remains absolute. Your outcome is strictly dictated by how well you tended to your own garden. The text uses this incredibly stark example. Imagine if a murderer and a savior both automatically went to heaven just because they both fundamentally possessed a Buddha nature. Heaven itself would become hell. Without fair, karmic judgment based on our actual daily choices and actions, the whole concept of a peaceful heavenly realm completely collapses. Fairness literally demands that our destinations reflect our actions. Which brings us to our final takeaway, Section 6, the principle of courage. So what does this all mean for us? Well, instead of using Buddha nature as a comfortable excuse to sit back and do nothing, the true teaching is actually the ultimate principle of courage. It is a message of profound hope. It confirms that no matter how low you feel you've fallen or what you're struggling with right now, you absolutely have the innate capacity to improve. You hold this seed. It's the ultimate encouragement to actually get out there and start practicing. And I'll leave you with this final thought for our explainer today. Your eventual enlightenment, it is absolutely not a guaranteed free ticket waiting for you at the end of the ride. It's an active pursuit. So, knowing that your divine potential is right now just an unsprouted seed, how will you choose to water it through your actions today? The choice and the effort is entirely up to you.